The Ukraine war, President Donald Trump has declared that he now believes that Ukraine can reclaim all territories lost to Russia. The statement is being seen as a big win for the Ukrainian president, who has time and again minced no words in stating that Ukraine would not cede territory to Russia. Zelensky has consistently urged President Trump to stand firm against Putin and keep international pressure on Russia. Taking to his social media platform, Truth Social, President Trump said, quote, "I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. With time, patience, and the financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option." In a bilateral meeting with Zelensky on the sidelines of the UNGA session, President Trump hailed Ukraine and its war against Russia, telling his Ukrainian counterpart that his nation is putting up one hell of a fight. This in contrast to what the U.S. president's views on Russia. Take a listen.
Well, the biggest progress is that the Russian economy is terrible right now. It's, as you know, it's crashing. And that, frankly, Ukraine is doing a very good job of stopping this very large army. You know, Russia doesn't look very distinguished, having taken 3.5 years now, right? It's about 3.5 years of very hard fighting. And it looks like it's not going to end for a long time.
Joining us live on the broadcast is John Erath, who is a Senior Policy Director for the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation in Washington. John, welcome back to WION. How do you see this change of position and stance by the U.S. president over Ukraine?
Thank you for having me back. I think that this is clearly a shift from the previous rhetoric that the war could be over in one day. If that was the goal, then in order to get a fast end to the war, it seemed inevitable that there would have to be some sort of territorial concession on the part of Ukraine. This clearly did not work as an approach. So you're seeing a shift back to what are the conditions under which the war could realistically end. One of those would be that Ukraine would be able to recover its territory. This is something that's not going to be easy to do, and it would require a lot more destruction. So it's clearly not the optimal course of events, but it may be the only way to resolve the war at this point.
President Trump also made headlines by answering a question by a reporter on whether or not NATO countries should defend themselves and shoot down Russian aircraft if they violate their airspace. And he said yes. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's every country's right to defend its airspace. And if the airspace is violated, it is part of a natural defense and of the right under international law to self-defense to shoot down what is coming in and violating the airspace. It becomes a little more complicated in the context of NATO because of the existence of Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, which says that an attack on one is an attack on all. So violations of the airspace of NATO members are a matter of concern for the entire alliance. So if Poland's airspace were violated, it could be a German or a Dutch jet that would shoot down what is violating. In this case, it's drones and unmanned aerial vehicles, but that does not make the violation any less serious.
And finally, John, what's the path forward in your opinion? Is the war going to intensify now?
This is clearly a question for the strategists in Russia and Ukraine. I think that they will have to evaluate the situation. The change factor here is that it is clear now that NATO resolve is not going to weaken, that assistance will continue to go to Ukraine, that Russia cannot count on Western assistance ending anytime soon or Ukrainian resistance collapsing. And so they will have to make decisions based on this course of events. It is likely that the war is going to continue for some time. And as both countries grow more tired of it, it will be a question of who tires more first.
Okay, very interesting developments, of course. Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, is expected to meet his Russian counterpart later today on the sidelines of the UNGA as well. So we'll be following that very closely. John Erath, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for joining us on WION this morning.
Thank you for the invitation.